আমরা বাংলাদেশী। আমরা আমেরিকাতে বড় হয়েছি। আমরা বিদেশী।
Hi everyone, welcome to Bideshi. As you know, আমাদের শো বাংলাদেশীদের নিয়ে, বাংলা ভাষীদের নিয়ে এবং যারা বাংলাদেশকে ভালোবাসে তাদেরকে নিয়ে। Once again, I would like to thank all of you for writing your enormous amount of emails to us. We will respond to your emails at the end of the show, and please keep writing to us, emails, letters, whatever you feel comfortable. Today in our show, we are going to talk about global awareness. On our last episode, we talked about the effects of 9/11. In this episode, we're going to talk about global awareness. By that I mean, America ke bairer jagat kibhabe dekhe, amader lifestyle, and even after 9/11, a lot of things inside of America changed. How did the world react to American policies and the way things were handled here in America? Well, without further ado, I would like to introduce you to our panelists for today. I have once again Shoshi and Monami. Well, the viewers really liked you, so thanks again for coming back. Audience, as you remember, they are Monami is an organizer of Drum, Desi's Rising Up and Moving, and Shoshi is the youth organizer. I also have Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Thea.
Sam is a youth educator. Well, we will hear from him. Okay, Sam, what do you do?
Well, I work for an organization called Global Kids, and it's based in New York, and what we do is focus on international education in New York City public schools. We work in about 11 high schools around the city, and what we essentially try to do is bring a global perspective to a high school classroom. What we try to do is expand the knowledge of young people so they think beyond what they're learning in their textbooks, and they start to think critically about issues such as human rights, women's rights, economic issues such as trade, free trade. We also talk a lot about how young people can get involved in issues that affect them instead of saying, I'm just a young person, I can't do anything about it.
Okay, that's very, very interesting actually. You know, when you were talking about how kids here in America think, okay, how does outside world affect us? And so many things going on, like now with the war in Iraq and war in Afghanistan, and now we know that things that happen abroad do affect us. One of the other things that I would want to mention in this episode when we're talking about this is that hate crimes. You know, it's just something that we think of if you're not, I mean, I know you can explain it better than me what a hate crime is, so, you know, why don't you go ahead?
Sure. A lot of people confuse a hate crime with just any old crime, but a hate crime is very specific. A hate crime is when someone inflicts some sort of harm, even if it's just a verbal abuse against someone because of their race, ethnicity, religion, gender, or sexual orientation.
You know, as we know from before that Drum, you do work for these people, you try to give them a voice. So have you had cases where they were victims of hate crime?
We've had a lot of cases after 9/11. One incident a few weeks after 9/11, a Bangladeshi cab driver in the Bronx, he was surrounded by about 10 young people who beat him up, pulled him out of his cab, beat him really badly. He became unconscious. তার ওই পাড়াতে অনেক লোকজন মানুষরা দাঁড়িয়ে দেখেছে কিন্তু কেউ কিছু করেনি।
কেন?
করেনি কারণ হয়তো তারাও ভয় পেয়েছে যদি আরও ইমিগ্রেন্ট থাকতো। অনেকে করেনি কারণ সেটা ঠিক 9/11-এর পরে মানুষরা খুব ইমিগ্রেন্টদের অ্যাগেনস্টে, মুসলিমদের অ্যাগেনস্টে মিডিয়াতে অনেক অ্যান্টি ইমিগ্রেন্ট জিনিস বলা হচ্ছিল। সো সে হসপিটালে গিয়ে সেখানে বোধহয় 6 দিন আনকনশিয়াস কোমাতে ছিল। And he called us after he got better, and he wanted to file a case, but like the many other people we've worked with, they become very scared when they have to file a case. Against the government. A lot of them don't have immigration status, so they're afraid that they're going to be deported. So he eventually didn't file a case.
You know, one thing I want to talk about now, which is very important, is immigration rights. you know, and the reason it comes into like a global concept is because I know there's a lot of viewers in Bangladesh, you know, that do want to come to America, that do want to stay here, and you know, when they do come, a lot of them probably won't know their rights. So can you explain to me, Monami, like what are some rights? Like I know people after 9/11, they were scared to call 911 because they thought even if they're injured or their বাসা চুরি হলো ডাকাতি হলো তাদেরকে কেউ পিটাচ্ছে পুলিশ এসে তাকে জিজ্ঞেস করবে তোমার স্ট্যাটাস কি, তুমি ভিজিট ভিসা এসে এতদিন আমেরিকা ছিলে কেন? I mean, is there any basis to that fear?
Absolutely. The reason is because এই দেশের ইমিগ্রেশন সিস্টেম এমনভাবে তৈরি করা হয়েছে যাতে যারা এখানকার সিটিজেন, বিশেষ করে যারা এখানে জন্মেছে আর সাদা সিটিজেন, তাদেরকে ডেফিনেটলি অনেক বেশি অধিকার রাইটস দেওয়া হয়। সো এই দেশে আইদার যদি সিটিজেন না হন then you may be a green card holder or what is called a permanent resident, who are people who are legally here but they haven't acquired citizenship. And then the third status is people who don't have any legal status, people who are called undocumented or illegal. We don't use that word because we don't believe any human being could be illegal. But there are 14 million people who live in this country like that. And so if you are illegal or if you even are a legal citizen, you can be very easily detained or deported by this government.
We have to take a quick break. Viewers, we'll be right back after this break. Welcome back, and as we were talking to Monami about the immigration laws here in America, and you know, as you said, like the immigrants here do have rights, even the ones that they think are not legal. They can call the police if they're being abused in the streets and whatnot. Another thing I would really want to go back to is when we were talking with Sam was, do you think like the reason for us being so ignorant about the outside world or being so insensitive to what Monami was saying is because like a media has something to do with it, or maybe the curriculum, the classwork that we do in school here, elementary school here, is not very sensitive to global issues?
Right, I think it's definitely a combination of both. I think that, well, first the media is owned by large corporations, so the diversity of information is very small in the United States. We have a few large corporations who own most of the media and often dictate what's news. So what could be considered news here wouldn't be considered news somewhere else, and what's news somewhere else isn't news here. We could have a genocide, mass killing going on in Darfur in Sudan, but over here it's not news.
You know, interesting that you bring that up. Not only do it's not news, even if you want to know about it, the American media seems to block out anything that is not favorable to their government or their state of being. I mean, do you agree with that? Like, you know, even if you want news on Afghanistan and what the viewpoints of the other party is, I don't think we can get it here.
It's either that or they try to debunk their way of thinking or discredit them by saying, well, they're being irrational, they're not using facts, they're using fuzzy numbers, and they always end up saying that we have the right sources and that our information is correct, when in fact we often research a lot of their sources and they're not always the most accurate. So a lot of times you have the American media sort of lying to the public and saying we have all this good, credible information, and oftentimes it's very flawed. And what happens then is teachers go into the classroom after getting all this wrong information and then teach students about it. So you have this ripple effect where teachers are not challenging themselves enough to get information from international sources and relying solely on American or Western media. And that's very problematic for our youth who have to come into this world very ignorant of a lot of the issues that are going on.
I mean, Shushi, let me ask you this then. Given that you're youngest of all of us, how do you think kids your age feel? Like, do you think they even care about what's going on in Iraq, like what's going on in Afghanistan? And do you think they care, like when you try to...
I think like most of the youth, like especially like people of color, people like working class communities who are going through this on daily basis, like facing racism, facing classism, they actually get this issue, like how U.S. foreign policy is affecting them. But I think mass majority, like who are suburban white kids and whatever we talk about it, I think they're usually like ignorant, because in classroom, like even when I was in high school, like when I was taught, like even I was, before I went and started like joining drum, like actually used to think America is great, capitalism is great, like how people are not exploited in the world. America saved, Japan, saved in World War II, saved those Jewish people, things like that. Like, the school textbook will teach you like how America is great and they're the savior. And in reality, they're the one who's destroying the rest of the world. And today, so I believe
That's why there's so much hate out there. Like,
exactly.
We in America know, Americans know that a lot of people hate them, like different countries, but they don't know why. They don't know why this hate has generated. I mean, do you think anybody who's starting from media to government to anyone has played a sufficient enough role to even inform us, like why?
There hasn't been, because as you said, when it happens to America, like when 9/11 happened, like they actually felt like what it feels like to be bombed or losing people you love. But in Palestine, every day people are dying. In Iraq, before even U.S. went into war in Iraq, there was still since Gulf War in 1992, people has been throwing bombs and they haven't been getting aid, which U.S. says that they're giving them aid. So people are dying there every day. They're facing kids in Palestine growing up with gunshots, growing up with bombing every day and losing their parents. So.
Now I'm going to come to the next issue, which I think is very important, because we can talk about problems all day long. What can we do as a community to stop this? To actually stand up for ourselves. What do you think is the way to go? Because I know all three of you has been organizers, all three of you has been social activists. So what do you think is the best way for us to face this kind of problem? Because every community has problems, if not this, then something else. What is the best strategy?
Well, obviously for us, we believe in organizing. And organizing means that we bring people together, we unite together for a common cause, and we work together to win a world that we want to see. If we believe there's injustice, then we have the power to change that. And so we have to be courageous. We have to speak up. A lot of times in our community, অনেকেরা এই দেশে এসে ওরা বলতে চায় না, ওরা ভাবে যে এই দেশে আমি জাস্ট কাজ করতে এসেছি, কয়েকদিন পরে চলে যাব আমার দেশে। সো এটা একটা বিরাট বড় প্রবলেম এখানে আমাদের সাউথ এশিয়ানদের অর্গানাইজ করা। কিন্তু আমরা যদি এই দেশের ইতিহাস দেখি, 50 বছর আগে এই দেশে আফ্রিকান আমেরিকানরা যদি সিভিল রাইটস মুভমেন্ট না করতো, আমরা যেসব অধিকার পাই এখন আমরা পেতাম না। সো আমাদেরকে এখন আমাদের ভয়েস রেজ করতে হবে, আমাদেরকে দেশের পলিসিগুলো যেগুলো খারাপ সেটা এগেইনস্টে বলতে হবে।
I'd like to also add to that point that South Asians have been coming to this country for a long time now.
By South Asians, you mean?
Bangladeshis, Indians, Pakistanis. Since the mid-1960s, South Asians have been immigrating here in large numbers. There, however, are some problems now, because in the 60s you had very educated, very wealthy South Asian immigrants who were coming here to study, to get PhDs or MDs, and they've done really well for themselves, and they're doing well 40 years later. And then 20 years later, in the late 80s, you had another influx of more working class people, because again the United States had this hunger for labor. They needed to support all these booming businesses, so let's bring these immigrants in. But now all of a sudden we see this huge class divide in the South Asian community. You have wealthy, connected Indians, Bangladeshis, Pakistanis who've been here for a long time, who on the whole are not looking out for newer immigrants.
So যেটা বলছে সেটা হচ্ছে যারা অনেক আগে এসেছে, যারা এখানে settled, they're not concerned. So what you're saying is we're lacking the solidarity, the brotherhood that we actually need to fight any sort of injustices that are thrown our way. Am I right?
Absolutely, absolutely right. And we have to reach across culture, but also bring our community together.
The thing is, I mean, I am going to speak on behalf of those people that think that they're very sheltered, because I have never, I mean, I'm going to say this on camera, I hope this never happens, have faced any sort of discrimination. 9/11 really didn't affect me in any ways. So I guess the people of a different class, they think, oh, okay, you know what, if I'm not an illegal immigrant, I'm not facing, nobody's who's stopping me in the streets and beating me up. Why should I care?
One answer is in the 1940s, they put Japanese American citizens in concentration camps pretty much. They weren't killing them, but their whole lives were taken over. And these were citizens of Japanese descent. So I don't think citizenship is any sort of way to make yourself think you're completely safe. You, depending on where you are from in this world, if it's in America's interest to detain you, it won't matter if you're a citizen, it won't matter if you've been here 40 years. Many of those Japanese Americans who were put in those camps were here for 3 generations, fought in World War I, fought in World War II, and they were pretty much told by the American government, it doesn't matter, you look different. We don't care if you're a citizen, we don't care if you speak English, we'll still lock you up.
All right, so you know what, hold that thought. Viewers, we have to take a quick little break. Be right back. Hi everyone, welcome back to Bideshi. Once again, this is Dia and you're watching Bideshi at STV US. Sam, I was talking to you just about, actually not to you, but to all of you, about like why we immigrants here in America, legal or illegal, should unite and actually help protect our rights or enforce our rights in this matter. So why do you think are some other causes or reasons that we should actually work together?
Like Monami said, during the 60s, the reason we have rights today because an African American and other people of color at that time joined together in forces and fought for common cause. And as we see in history, because of students united, because of other people united, we were able to stop the war in Vietnam. And so that people uniting has really played a great deal of effect on U.S.
And also,
history.
what we can learn from the African American movement, the civil rights movement, is that although they were fear, they didn't give in to their fear, which we saw a lot after 9/11. That people did give in to their fear. They didn't want to tell people that they were Muslims. They didn't want to tell people, and it's just really adversely affected us. Nobody wanted to speak up. So, how does drum work in giving them voice?
I think most of the stories, like you were saying, we were all talking about that the media portrays, are the stories of victims.
কেন এটা হয় কেন? Just because of just fear or sort of other
আমার মনে হয় মিডিয়া দেখাতে চায় না কারণ ইমিগ্রেন্টদেরকে আইদার ভিকটিম হয়ে দেখায় অথবা টেররিস্ট হয়ে দেখায়, কিন্তু ইমিগ্রেন্টরা আসলে যে আমাদের নিজের আন্দোলন করছে, আমাদের যে পাওয়ার হচ্ছে এই দেশে, সেটা দেখালে এই দেশের জন্য খারাপ দেখায়।
আচ্ছা, আমেরিকার যে একটা ভিউ তারা প্রমোট করে, যেটা which is a very idealistic view, যে আমেরিকা মানেই হলো একটা ফ্রিডমের কান্ট্রি, একটা I know Shoshi laugh. Why do you laugh, Shoshi? I have to laugh.
It's funny because they talk about freedom and people being free, but people we talked about.
But I love America. I do. I'm sitting here and I'm just is it really that bad?
I mean, there's this class, you talk about undocumented people who doesn't have papers, who can't go to college because they cannot get financial aid or scholarship, and they have to pay to college.
So, what can people, I know people in Bangladesh, who are watching, we hear news in Bangladesh about Muslim riots and uprising, and and then we have political parties that are saying that in Bangladesh there are a lot of fundamentalist groups. How does that affect us here?
It's debatable. Obviously, most people are going to think, oh, well, that doesn't help our cause at all.
Yeah.
Oh, here's some more people we can show on TV blowing up things and rioting or not. But what we hope that it does bring up in America is that another debate needs to take place as to why fundamentalism is happening. Why are people angry? It's not just a religious revolution. People are starving, people don't have jobs, people are trying to take care of their families, and they are going to these fundamentalist places because that's where they find security, and people are telling them a lot about what's wrong in their lives, but are telling them to carry out a message in a very violent way. So I think what we can take from that here is that we need to look at American foreign policy. We need to look at various countries' foreign policy and try to get to the root of why people are angry in these countries.
What do you think is the main defect? What about American policy that infuriates so many people? কেন তারা এত রাগ আমেরিকার উপরে?
Well, I think basically it seems like in the rest of the world, people understand that people in America have too much more than we should.
I want to end this note in a very positive way, because it seems like there's so many things wrong with America. What is right about America? I have to ask that.
Yeah.
Sure,
You know, what is
sure.
right about it?
Well,
I mean, everyone that's
right.
sitting in front of this TV right now is thinking like, oh my God, America is the reason of all our problems. But the thing is, one thing I've realized is that if you don't let America take advantage of you, it won't take advantage of you. And I'm going to quote an example. There is this, I'm pretty sure it's Jamaica, but I'm not going to quote an island, but it's one of these island cities. A lot of their restaurants and people, their livelihood dependent on their restaurants. A lot of their restaurants owner, they were out of business. Their whole family died of hunger and poverty just because the government allowed McDonald's into the community. You know, it's not America's fault that McDonald's went to that certain island, but it's the government decision to actually have McDonald's in their island for personal gains or whatever reasons, or maybe the franchise was, some sort of monopoly strategy was thrown at them. But it's like, shouldn't we be looking at our own interests?
Well, I think going back to Shoshi's point is that depending on your status in this country, immigration status, it's going to impact you a lot. And yes, if you have immigration status, if you have a green card, you have, and you're a citizen, you have a lot of opportunity. You can do a lot of things, but that also depends on your education.
But then again, going back to Shoshi's point, like, okay, you know what? If I'm not a legal citizen here, I can't do this, I can't do that. But then again, and you are violating. You are not listening to the American government. You go to Australia, they're going to kick you out the moment your visa expires. They'll find you, hunt you down. Here, they actually let you stay. So they think they're being generous, which is the sad thing. And that's
যেটা আমরা যখন এটা আমাদের সবাই যখন আমরা কাজ করি এই ব্যাপারে সবাই এই কোয়েশ্চেনটা আমাদের জিজ্ঞেস করে, তাহলে তোমরা তো ভায়োলেট করতেছো, তোমরা যদি কিন্তু আমাদের আইডিয়া হচ্ছে যে মানুষ এখানে ইচ্ছা নিজের দেশ ছেড়ে কেউ আসতে চায় না। যদি দেশে ভালো কাজ থাকে, দেশে ভালো থাকে, তাহলে
শশী, আমরা তো ওই পয়েন্টে চলে গেলাম, তাই না? আমেরিকাকে ব্লেম না করে
না, নিজের দেশ, কারণ আমাদের আইডিয়া হচ্ছে যে আমেরিকার কারণ globalization, this term globalization that we talk about, where Americans corporation goes into different countries and set up businesses there, and they say they're providing jobs, but when the workers there in Bangladesh are getting 5 cents a day, and they're selling the same product in America for $100, So
but that's their policy. That's
the thing. But I think that's the cause of all. That's the root cause of all this immigration.
I understand it, but if I guess at the end America wins because they're very smart. They have somehow monopolized everyone, put everyone else in debt, and somehow came up with it. But then again, at the end, what point I'm trying to make is that we have to look out for our own interests. If Bangladesh had the opportunities, if Bangladesh had the security, the safety, we wouldn't have to look at America. We wouldn't have to face all this. And if the reason we get victimized is because our government is much more polluted than here in American government. At least their government, the American government, is looking at the interest of the citizens here. But in Bangladesh, I don't see our government looking at the interests of their citizens. I don't know if there was enough lobbying in Bangladesh done to protect these people, these immigrants. Actually come to President Bush, our Prime Minister should come to President Bush and tell them, listen, these people are working there, they're hardworking, they're not all terrorists, leave them alone. Do you think there was any act of that sort? Do you think, are you aware of it?
Yeah, well, I know that the Bangladesh consulate here in New York was trying to reach out to...
Was trying to?
Well, in the past 4 years...
very bad things about the consulate.
Absolutely, and they definitely have done a lot of bad things in terms of...
Not really bad things, but they have been very out of it.
They've invited immigration authorities to Know Your Rights meetings, which people obviously are shocked that they're trying to get information about immigrants' rights, and here's a person from immigration telling a room full of undocumented immigrants their rights. That's pretty weird. But then people who worked at Bangladesh consulate, to my knowledge, did reach out to Senator Schumer, did reach out to Senator Clinton and say, hey, look, my community is in trouble. What can we do? How do we come to some sort of agreement? These people are hardworking, they pay their taxes, some of them been here for years. What can we do? Obviously, a lot more can be done, but that's the game of politics, is that when you're here and you are representing a consulate of another country, your interests are to represent your country, not necessarily the immigrants of your country. That is a big responsibility, and I don't think the Bangladesh consulate, as well as many other consulates, take that responsibility all that seriously.
All right, we're really strapped of time and I wish we could carry on this discussion a little more. দর্শক মণ্ডলী আমরা চলে এসেছি আমাদের প্রোগ্রামের শেষে Thank you all of you really for having a wonderful discussion. আমি এটাই বলতে চাবো to end this program. I know I don't have much time, but you know America is a wonderful country. It is a wonderful country for Americans and people that live here. But as with every country, as with every nation, there are downfalls, there are things that we don't agree upon. But then again, if you don't try to change it, if you don't take your stand, if you don't stand up for your own rights, no one else will. With that in mind, this is Dia signing off. Hi everyone, welcome to Bideshi Mailbox. আমরা আপনাদের কাছ থেকে অনেক ইমেল পেয়েছি as usual and we're very happy to answer any questions and comments that you may have in this segment. Without further ado, let's read the first email. The first email is very special. I'll read to you first. Hi, I really like your program. By the way, my name is Fabliha. I live in Philly, which is Philadelphia. I'm 10 years old and I speak Bangla really well. Well, Fabliha, given that you are so young, you're probably one of your youngest viewers. We're very honored and very happy that you watch our show and that you can speak Bangla fluently. Bangla is not an easy language, so good for you. The next email I'm going to read to you is from Ronnie Paul. Ronnie Paul writes to us from Bangladesh. He writes, Hi Miss Thea, how are you? I'm good, Ronnie. I hope you're well too. I'm from Bangladesh and I see your show regularly. Thank you. আপনি কি এডুকেশন নিয়ে আলোচনা করতে পারেন আপনার সাথে? Of course, why not? If আপনি আলোচনা করেন তাহলে ইউএসএ তে স্টুডেন্ট ভিসা নিয়ে আলোচনা করবেন কিভাবে ইউএসএ তে যাওয়া যায় Well, Ronnie, I really would like to do a show on U.S. Student visa, and in the future episodes of Bideshi, we will have counselors from various universities, and we will sit them down and speak to them about different visas, student visas, and how you can be eligible. So keep watching Bideshi, and we will definitely do a show on student visa and how to come to America. আমাদের নেক্সট ইমেল এসেছে নীলা নওয়াবের কাছ থেকে নীলা লিখেছে দিয়া আপু কেমন আছো ভালো আপু তুমি কেমন তোমার শো খুব ভালো লেগেছে তোমার গাড়িটা খুব সুন্দর থ্যাংক ইউ You asked question about what we want to see. Yes, I do. তোমরা আমেরিকাতে কি কি মজার জিনিস করো সেটাই দেখালে খুব ফান হবে ওকে বাই স্বপ্না তিথি নীলা আঞ্জু Well, America আমরা অনেক কিছু করি যা it is a lot of fun as I can tell you and we are planning on doing episodes where we highlight what kids do in their pastimes and how they spend their vacations and weekends. So once again keep watching Bideshi আপনাদের যদি আরো ইমেলস থাকে অথবা আপনারা যদি আমাদের কি লিখতে চান আমাদের ইমেল অ্যাড্রেস হলো bideshi@stvus.tv ভালো থাকুন সুস্থ থাকুন keep watching Bideshi on STVUS আপনাদের যদি কোনো questions or comments থাকে or if you want to be a part of our show or if you have any opinions about our show please email us at bideshi@stvus.tv